intentionally setting some time aside to focus on yourself. What do you want your purpose? What do you want your bigger impact to be? What is the bigger goal that you have for yourself in this business? What is your why? Why are you doing this to begin with? And setting some time to really think about that. Surround yourself with other people who are wanting to do the same thing. That's ultimately why I created what we call our Accelerate Your STR retreat. At the time of recording this, I am just getting back from a week in Mexico with my husband. We got married on January 10th, and people were like, "Why do you want a winter wedding?" And we got all this pushback, like, "It's after the holidays, yada, yada." Truth be told, we planned a destination wedding on a Sunday in January because we wanted to make sure that the people who showed up to our wedding like really wanted to be there. And it got to a point in our budget situation where we were like, okay, everybody who says no is $250. It's back in our pockets. So I love you. But if you can't make it, it's completely fine. Anyways, I didn't realize it at the time, but it was one of the best life hacks that John and I have done because we have made a practice of taking an assessment of our prior year and seeing what worked, what didn't work, and planning out our goals and our mission, our word. We're not big on like vision boards or things like that. Not that I have an issue with them, it's just not part of what we do. But having our anniversary at the beginning of the year, we try to set aside time for each other, but it kind of gives us that natural rhythm at the end of one year and the beginning of the next to just take inventory and then intentionally set what we want the next year to be about. So I'm fresh off of that trip, but of course, on social media, this time of early January, end of December, early January is just people with New Year's resolutions or goals, people saying that they do these planning sessions like John and I just did, which I think is lovely. But most of the time, people don't follow through with what they intend to do. It just kind of goes back to the wayside and they don't continue to keep their habits. And so, I've been guilty of that myself over the years, but there have been a few things that have stuck with me that I continue to do year in, year out that have been pivotal in not only my mindset, but my results over the course of the year. So I wanted to take a few minutes to share some of the things that have been helpful for me to maintain my goals, my resolutions, my intentions for my year, and maybe share a few things that haven't. So if you were one of those people who like set out to do the 5 a.m. or the 6 a.m. club and just have these like biohacking wellness routines, I think that works for some and that's extremely admirable. There is no way in hell that I am going to prioritize that when I have two kids. They're 4, they're 2. It just doesn't fit into what my priorities are currently. And so there are some things that do work though. So, anyways, the first resource that really changed my like perspective on things and how I tackle these goals is by reading some of the principles in Atomic Habits. That is one of my all-time favorite books, and it's been a way that I've been able to incorporate what they call habit stacking um, into my daily practice. And so one of the things that I set out to do a few years ago was, of course, to drink more water, to get my supplements and my vitamins in a way that made sense. And so I knew that if I relied on myself to pick up water on the way to to my office and other things that it just wasn't happening. And if I tried to pack my supplements to put in a water bottle at the office, that wasn't happening either. And so that's part of the taking the assessment of what works and what didn't work. Figuring out what my routine is and then adapting my life to that. And so what a habit stack is doing the new habit in association with something that you're already doing already. So I started my habit stack. I make my coffee every morning. And while, I hit the button, I have a lovely machine that grinds the beans and, does the whole thing and then spits out the cup of coffee at the end of it. So when I hit the button to start that coffee grinding in the morning, I put my water bottles that I wanted to use. I have 3 of them that are like 40-ounce Stanley that every basic, chick has these days, but I own it. Big swig out of the Stanley just then, guys, if you're not watching the video. But I moved my water bottles directly under my coffee maker so that it would be easy for me to do. The thing is, you got to remove the barriers. You got to make it as simple as possible. So as soon as I hit the start button on that, I grab my big 40-ounce Stanley. I turn over, I have my water filter there, and I located all of the supplements that I put in that water right underneath it. So literally in the time it takes me to have that coffee brewed, I've dumped all the supplements into the big water bottle and I've started it and I've started stirring. So generally by the time I have brewed that coffee, the water bottle is created and I set it by the back door so I don't forget it. That is a very trivial example of a habit stack. But the book Atomic Habits is chock full of ways for you to remind yourself and incorporate whatever your goal or your intention or the habit that you want to incorporate into your life. It has so many useful tips like that. And it's something that I take with me day to day is like, I want to do more of this. What does it make sense for me to habit stack that on? Because I always make my coffee every day, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And if I want to make sure that I get my water in throughout the day, I need to make sure that I'm making it easy and accessible so that when I make my coffee, my water and my supplements are added too. Kind of random, but there have been so many instances where I've utilized that tool in my life and I'm like multiple years in of making sure that my water and my supplements are brought every day. So this stuff works. And I think one of the biggest challenges that I see, especially with my students, is they say this big goal and they're not sure how to attack the big goal and break it down into what they need to do daily. And the thing that I know to be true is, the big success happens with small, little daily actions and increments taken because it adds up over time, which is why that book is so powerful. The other thing that I incorporated several years ago, if you're watching the video, I'm going to hold it up here, but I was never a planner person, but I started using this planner called the Epic Life Planner. And what it does is it breaks your goals. It breaks it in, each planner is based on the quarter. And you plan what you want to focus on for that quarter. And then you view each week through that lens. And it acknowledges that you can't do everything and focus on everything at once, but it breaks life up into what they call gardens. And the different gardens that they have you choose 2 out of these each and every week. The gardens are health and wellness, spirituality and contribution, business and career, personal growth, lifestyle and adventure, friends, family and relationships, financial and investment, and environment and tribe. So it wants you to choose which one of those or which 2 of those each and every week you are going to put extra effort into your garden that week. So last week when John and I were in Mexico, I wasn't doing a ton in the business and career section there, but I was really focused on my friends, family, and relationships garden, as well as my lifestyle and adventure garden. So it gives you the freedom to say, hey, I can't do everything at once, but this week I'm going to focus on that aspect. And this Epic Life Planner, I'm going to link it in the show notes, has been a really good way for me to recognize I can do it all, just not all at once, and help establish and reintroduce some of that work life balance because as entrepreneurs, it can be challenging to know what to focus on when. So, the last bit is that, of course, that annual goal setting practice that John and I have gotten into. And it's really important for you as an entrepreneur and if you have a partner to be on the same page with that partner. But I went to a retreat a few years ago. Actually, I think it was last year. And one of the women there, she was leading a retreat for people and it was all about the idea of what she liked to call the sacred pause. And she was a physician who ended up working herself to a state of burnout and to where her body started shutting down and forced her to take a pause because she couldn't do it anymore. And what she wanted people to do was to take an assessment of themselves and not get to that point, which I think is huge and crucial. But the time where I've had the biggest breakthroughs in my business, where I've set the trajectory for success, has been when I've gotten myself out of my daily routine, out of the hustle and bustle of everyday life because things are always going to get in the way. You know, somebody's going to get sick, your kids have something going on, your spouse or your partner has something else going on, work 9 to 5 gets busy and intentionally setting some time aside to focus on yourself. What do you want your purpose? What do you want your bigger impact to be? What is the bigger goal that you have for yourself in this business? What is your why? Why are you doing this to begin with? And setting some time to really think about that. Surround yourself with other people who are wanting to do the same thing. That's ultimately why I created what we call our Accelerator STR retreat. Um, John and I have started, we've done this practice personally for years, but people reached out and said, I don't really know how to do this for myself. Like, what should I be talking? Like, what should I be thinking about? What should I be writing about? What should I be doing during this time? And so we created this retreat to walk people through that. We, of course, give folks practical tips and advice on how to run their SDR and create more time freedom in that business. But it's a bigger picture of, okay, this is what you're doing now, but where do you want to be 3 months, 6 months, a year, 5 years from now? What do you want your ideal life to look like? And I'm there, my team's there, helping you create the practical steps to actually get there. What habit stacks do you need to achieve those goals so you can have that greater impact, not just for you, not just for your family, not just for your community, but the ripple effects of when you get it right. What does that look like for all of those people? And what ripple effect can you have? So I'm really excited. Our next retreat is June 4th through the 9th, 2025 in Costa Rica. We're going back to the same amazing retreat center that we went to for our 2024 retreat. But I could not be more excited to teach and lead that group of people through their own transformational journey, help them create that intention, but also that habit of self reflection so that they can look to the bigger future and that bigger impact. If you want more information about our Accelerator SCR retreat, I'm going to link it down in the show notes. But I am thrilled for you guys to start incorporating some of these habits and intentions into your life.